Hello, everyone. I'm Peter Kinkaide, the CEO of Rangeley Financial Solutions, and I'm joined today by Dan Pembleton, the manager of the Pavilion Funds. Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Peter.
Excellent. Dan, I'm going to start off by asking you, you've been managing these flow-through funds for the last 12 years or so. I'm interested, what's evolved over that 12 years in the mining and minerals markets and for the funds themselves?
Sure. Thanks, Peter. There's been a lot of changes. We set up our investment thesis originally to perform well in all markets, but specifically, I think we have greater advantages in bull markets. And when I first started out in 2008, we were in a bull market as markets bottomed in early 2009. And so we were off, with a new fund, we were off to a great start. And I thought I was the smartest man in the world. It was really good. And around the end of 2010, 2011, we entered a bear market for junior resources. And for that perspective, that might seem strange to some people who maybe follow general markets, but what you might be thinking of generally may not necessarily be happening in the junior markets. And that's a good thing for portfolios as a diversifier. But it's not so much fun to have a long bear market. So we had to adapt quite a bit over the years to that, more tactically than strategically within our portfolios. So we would be a little quicker to hit the sell button. If things were extremely beaten down, we'd halt things for a little while and wait for markets to rebound and then get more active. So we've adjusted as we've gone along in that process, and all of that time as well. Just being involved in the junior markets, we've expanded our network of contacts. So our deal flow has become more diversified and quite a bit stronger even than when we started.
That's great. Now, I sort of get the sense that you're teeing me up that something's changed. So, obviously we've got a global pandemic going on. Financial markets have been very volatile this year. What impact has that had on your business?
Sure, it's been very beneficial, frankly. In 2019, things actually started to change. Just doing a short history lesson for people who are watching. If they recall, they might not have been watching, but the Federal Reserve up until early 2019 had been raising interest rates. In 2019, early 2019, they did an about face and they cut rates for the first time. And that was because the economy in the US was weakening and the economy globally was weakening at that time. That was early 2019, so 18 months ago. And that changed the dynamic for gold, particularly gold and precious metals. And what happened there is when rates are rising, it generally is not particularly good for gold, particularly the real interest rate, which would be the nominal interest rate, the headline interest rate that people would see, less inflation. And the more positive that number would get, the less good it is for gold. What happened in early 2019, that dynamic changed to moving in the other direction. And when that changed, so did the gold market. So gold, which had been a bear market since late 2010, early 2011, a very, very long bear market for gold. It started to break out of its trading range and move higher. And what happened throughout 2019 was there were more interest rate cuts, not just by the Fed, but by central banks globally. Then in early 2020, as we know, COVID hit. And then of course the reaction by central banks was to cut rates basically to zero, and banks that were already close to zero went even further into the negative, some of them. And so this has brought interest rates down dramatically globally. Again, that just pours more interest into the gold market, and gold has taken off. That of course that filters down from, goes from gold to major producers to intermediate producers to juniors, and juniors is where the flow through market works. And so we've seen some particularly good macroeconomic developments to help us out in the junior market since then.
And that's also trickled on to other precious metals, so silver.
Oh, yes.
And so now you're getting a lot of activity. Is that what you're seeing today? What are you excited about moving forward?
Yeah, I've seen. I have not had a busier summer in the entire time I've been running Axelin Capital. It is there is just so much interest being generated from investors, but also from companies who are looking for capital, companies who have been waiting basically as long as we have for this market to come along, so that they could go out and explore for something that's now worth 70% more than it was a few years ago. So it's suddenly it's becoming more economic for people to of both sides to get involved. So the opportunities that we're seeing from our network that are coming are extraordinarily exciting. There's some really good projects that are coming to light, and just in general the enthusiasm that's being generated within the market is starting to expand, which means more people will become aware of it, and I'm excited about that, because that means more people will finally find the tax savings and the investment benefits of flow-through funds.
Well, so if I said it another way, you haven't in your career thus far seen as good an opportunity as the one you're seeing this year. Is that fair to say?
It is actually. That is very fair to say. You can measure it. I was just talking about the qualitative aspects of it, but you could also look at the quantitative aspects of it. If you look at the TSX Venture Index, which is a reasonable proxy for the junior miners. It's not all junior miners, but it's reasonable. And it reached an all-time measured low in March and April. Some of that was obviously COVID-induced selling, but it wasn't very high to begin with. So we really are in many aspects we're seeing more interest and more activity on a qualitative side at what really is historic market lows. It's a pretty good combination of a place to get started or to continue involvement in this field.
That's great. Well, Dan, thanks for your time. For those that are interested, we're going to be hosting a webinar with Dan to go through his full presentation in a couple of weeks, and we look forward to that. Thanks for your time, Dan.
Thanks very much, Peter. Good talking to you.
You too.